Hello and welcome back everybody to another episode of the Geek Tech Show. And welcome back. In case you're new here, we do video reviews here and all kinds of cool things. And in today's episode, we are going to be checking out GoPro Black number 8, and should you actually go ahead and get this for yourself. So what is the GoPro number 8 here? You're supposed to put this in your teeth, by the way, when you're recording it. But this specific one is pretty good. It's small, it can fit in your palm of your hand, and above all, you don't need any more waterproof case to actually use it. Also, it comes with this accessory that is already built in here right there, and you can actually put this on any kind of a stand, so you don't need anything extra now in order to use it. This is the good thing about this. Now, the GoPro 8 will set you back for around $350. It is an expensive piece of equipment. Unfortunately, the 8 is almost the same, identical as the 7, except for those small things about this. So, normal case for you to actually use, which is a plus. It doesn't actually need any more waterproof housing, which is also a plus as well. And it has those sticks on the bottom, so you don't need anything extra for you to go ahead and attach this right away and start to film. So this is the good things about this. The bad thing, compared to the DJI one, DJI Action, well, the DJI has already a selfie screen right here. This one doesn't actually have it. It has other things that show up here, but it's not that at all. And if you want to have a selfie thing for you, you have to shovel up another $80 and then get an extra thing, a case for it, which actually defeats the whole entire purpose of this having no case needed. Instead, what they could have actually done, and they should have done, is to do what the DJI actually did and add to this. So you might be asking a question, why do you even need this if the DJI does everything that this actually does? Well, there is a few things that this can do that the DJI can't. This is waterproof right out of the box. DJI is not. The next thing about this is that this one is also can do a few things that the DJI can't, such as having a super wide angle, and the DJI doesn't actually have it. So this is pretty much it. It does have almost everything else, similar features, similar things. I think the video quality is a little bit better for this one. It's also survivability, as in you can hit this with a baseball bat and it will still work. Well, this is definitely the more better one that is actually made versus the DJI one. On the downside, it doesn't have a removable lens like the DJI actually has, which you can actually take it out and you can put another lens to it, which is a lens filter, and this doesn't actually have that, which is a sad thing about this. So overall, this is good, but not good enough. So let's go ahead now and we're going to go into in-depth review of this, where I'm going to go ahead and show you a few features and how it looks like and things like that, and see if this is the right camera for you. Getting up close and personal to the GoPro over here, you can see how it actually looks like in my hand. It is quite small and really a beautiful piece of artwork. If you press here down and you press over here on the side, you can see right there where the battery actually comes in, and also the removable right here SD mini memory card. This is pretty handy because it makes this thing super waterproof for you. Only thing that I keeps on messing up here is that you have to be super careful not to stick it the wrong way in. Closing this up, let's go ahead and show you this right here, and this is a very cool feature, by the way, and that prevents you from needing the housing that you actually needed before. I do wish it kind of looked different, like there would be something that you can just screw it in instead, but it would defeat the old GoPro mounts that this actually used to have. So in kind of, it is a useful feature which makes it backwards compatible with the old, but I do think they should have had just something different instead for that. On the back, the same exact camera screen as we had before, and all you have to do is just to press right here. It turns on. You can see my hands here anyway, and you can see the whole entire screen here where you just swipe every way you want to go, and you can go ahead and change everything right inside here. And over here you can see other things as you're doing here as well, and it tells you what is actually going on the other side of this screen. Pretty much it is very nice workhorse for you to have if you're doing all kinds of action camera work. It is kind of slightly better than the previous versions of this GoPro, but there's a few things that I actually dislike about this, and I actually think the DJI is some ways somewhat better than this, and plus it is cheaper. So a few things about this. The good stuff about this is that, first of all, you don't need a case anymore to take it out, which is very good. I hated the cases that you put them in, got them out. It took a very long time to do this. Second of all, for the tripod, all you have to do is to move this right here, and you can connect it pretty easily. So that's another plus for it. Another one is how simple this thing is to use. It's very simple as well, and you can actually get an additional case that you can put this in, and you can actually get mods for it, including sound and including seeing yourself in it. Unfortunately, the DJI beat it to it. You can see picture-in-picture over here, and this one doesn't actually have it. So that's actually a big downside of this. Furthermore, there's a few other issues I have with this. The first one is right here. To turn it on, it's a little bit hard for you to do it. You have to press on here, and to turn it off you press on it once again. The issue I have with this is just the placement of the button. It's a little bit hard for you to find, and you have to press on it pretty hard to turn it on. Next thing is the following. The battery life is super fast. It's actually really fast for it to get drained, and that's another negative thing about it. Buying this GoPro does give you a bonus. You get this freeway extension that costs around $50, which is great, but totally useless for what I'm going to be using it for. So although I do like this design, it is not the kind of thing that I want to get for free. Next thing you're actually going to get is this SD card that is also included with the purchase. This is good, but it's not actually this great. The next issue I have with it is the micro SD card reader. This is actually a very good thing about this because it is so small. It is really makes it everything really slim. The biggest issue I have with it is that you have to use this SD card in order to transfer the prints out of the GoPro. Because of that, when you take this out, you have to put this back in every single time. And it's also hard for you to open this. And it also snaps out of here too, which you can actually put this back in. So taking this out, every single time you have to get it in and out. You have to put this in this compartment right here. Notice with your finger, it's a little bit hard for you to do this if you don't have nails. And to get it out, you have to press on it like this. You have to get it out like that. Now, it does sometimes makes it pretty hard for you to get it out. Now, unless you're used to doing this, I guess you can actually get used to getting it out like this. But it's not the easiest place for you to get something out. As you can see, I just dropped it right inside here. So after a while, this will get damaged with a lot of constant use. And there was a way for them to actually fix this by just using the charge cable for you to put this into the USB cable on your computer, and that would have easily solved this issue. But it doesn't seem to actually do that. Next thing is the battery. You can put this in one way. Unfortunately, you can also put this in the wrong way too. seems it goes both ways, and because of that you can accidentally actually try to close it the wrong way too. So you have to be extremely careful the way you put the battery in here, just to make sure you're putting it the correct way so you don't accidentally damage the GoPro. Now closing it altogether is also pretty tough. This is not one of the easiest things for you to close. Here we go, I just closed it. Let's turn this on. And that's another one. Gotta press on it, pretty tough. Something is not working. Oh, there it is. It just turned on. Now the next thing I have with it is the recording button right here. Gotta press on it to get it started, which is actually not a bad thing. I do wish it was just moved right there. This is just my thing right now. I don't like it being so close to where this thing actually comes out from. Next, and this is actually the biggest beef that I have with this, is pretty much the following. Right here, the controls. You constantly have to really play with them to get things to work here, and it is confusing. So let's say you want to switch from time-lapse to something else, you just move it right there and it disappears. That's actually extremely annoying. Now when you want to move things, you see it keeps on switching on you. So I'm trying to move it and I end up playing too much with the different functions to get the function that I actually want, because they made it really simple but not in a good actual way. Now it does have a lot of wide angle things for you to use, and this is the good thing about this. As you can see, it has super regular and extreme wide angle in here. To turn it into the extreme wide angle, you gotta go through this entire preference thing. Video, press on the slow motion here. Here you're going to be choosing activity, and this one has the super view, press on S, and here it is, all the views. Now this is something that the DJI doesn't have, the super view, so this is a plus for this one. But to get to all the controls is pretty much the biggest issue that I have with this. Is just this is unnecessarily sophisticated, and the controls themselves are a little bit hard for you to go through and turn them on. So here I went into it, you press on this button right here, and it gives you all the options for all those different things, and unfortunately there is no instructions how to use this, so you have to go through this all by yourself and try to just figure everything out, and there is nothing for you to know what you're actually doing here whatsoever. And that is actually the second biggest issue that I have with this, is just there is no instructions how to use this. There is no way for you to know what things you have to do to get it to work, what things you have to do to turn this off, turn it on, change the instructions, everything else here. And the worst thing about this is to get the memory right out of here, and you have to remove the battery first of all to get it out, and then you can just remove the memory which you have to use, and then the small SD thing, you have to have the adapter for it to be used, which you have to do with the other versions too, but they could have just fixed it with one simple and easy fix. The good thing about this is the following, is that once you put this on the right way, that is, there we go, you can actually charge it and still you can use it at the same exact time, which you couldn't actually do before. So that is a plus for it. Also, no interchangeable lens here. You can't see yourself in the screen, and every other accessory that you can get is an add-on that you have to pay extra for. So for the DJI, you're getting to see yourself for almost $100 less. This is actually going to cost you, not only this is costing like $350, you also have to get this $100 extra for the selfie screen too. So this makes it a very expensive versus the DJI one. So it's hard for me to recommend this. If you have the previous version of this, you probably should stick with it. If you want to get a cheaper version, I think the 6 now is like super cheap on eBay. And I think you should probably wait until they perfect this. Just change a few things around here. And if they had the selfie mode over here, that would have been really a game changer. But the biggest thing is for them to go ahead and fix this thing right here. This is just very hard to use. It is just confusing, and it takes you a while to find the setting that you actually want. And for an action camera that really prides itself on one button operation, there is just too many options and too hard for you to get this to use. Make everything more simple, easy to use, and you would have a winner just right here. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say this gets a 7, just because the price is too expensive and not enough features, and the battery is just way too quick. It just eats up batteries very, very fast. So first of all, I'm not a GoPro hater. I actually really like this. It is small, it is beautiful, but there's a few things that I actually totally dislike about the 8 version, and I think you should consider the Osmo Action or the 7 version instead, because it will save you a lot of money. So the first thing I actually dislike, and this is actually one of the best features of it, is the legs of the GoPro. First, it looks weird, but that is not the main problem. Main problem is just they're not as flimsy, or that being said, they're too flimsy. That is, they should have been some solid metal right in here. The problem is, first of all, they don't actually attach very well, which is not actually the main problem, but it is an issue. So once you put this in, you're going to be seeing something else in here, the next issue. Pretty much you're going to be using it most of the time like this, as a tripod. But because it actually is very flimsy right here, it makes this shake. You can see right now, it is shakeable. So if you're going to be using it as an action camera, some of your footage might be lost, because no matter how tight you actually make it, it still moves. It is still shaking a bit. And that is just an engineering issue. There's nothing much you can do about it. It is not such a big deal, and yet it will be a deal for some people, a deal breaker that is. The next big issue over here is the actual lens in itself. Now, I don't have any issues with the lens except version 7. If you broke the lens, well, too bad, but you could just replace this miniature lens with like a $10 replacement, and that's it, you're done. On the other hand, if you break this part of the lens, because this doesn't have any external protection, this makes it the easiest thing for you to accidentally break. And if you do break it, and it will break eventually, guess what? You have to get a brand new GoPro. But they did come up with a brilliant solution, how to milk extra money from you. And if you do decide for around like $50 to $100, I'm not sure what exact price it is. I think it is going for around $50. They will replace this whole entire thing for you if you pay for the membership fee, which actually is a lot more expensive. Why not just go ahead and get a version number 7 and don't have to even worry about this thing breaking? And if it does, it's only $10 for you to replace, which makes it so much more of a cheaper solution. Next issue that I have with this is simply the battery compartment. It is hard for you to open, but that's not actually the biggest problem with it. As you can see, it just jumped out of there, which is okay, because you can just put this back in here. So eventually you will have to get another one, such as this, if it does break. But there is a few issues here. One, right there, you have to take this out every single time if you want to charge it. 2, you can't actually use this right here and use the cable to transfer the prints or the movie from inside of here. Instead, what you have to do, you have to get the battery out every single time. You have to press on this and get the memory stick every single time. And they could have totally fixed it by an easy solution by having this cable. When you power this on, you will actually be able to use it and get the memory stuff out of here, so you don't have to every single time get it out, get it in, and put it all back together. Last, and this is probably not the least of all the issues with this, but pretty much the battery that goes in here, yes, it's a good thing that they still kept the same exact battery. The problem with this battery is the bump right here, and you can see right there, you can only put this one way in. If you put this the wrong way in, it actually kind of goes in, and you can start to break this thing very slowly by forcing it in the way that it's not supposed to go. So that is another issue that I have with this GoPro. It is not such a big issue compared to the other issues, but it's still minor imperfection that they could have actually fixed. That being said, it is still one of the greatest action cameras that is made right now on the market. The next big thing is this, the whole menu system right here. It is actually worse to use than the previous version. I actually like the previous version a little bit better. This is a little extra sophistication that was not necessary. The next thing is the actual battery power. This thing, it's on battery like crazy. It's 75%, where I filmed only less than a minute of content. That is just incredible how much battery power it actually uses. Now, this is with turning off the voice control, with turning off the Wi-Fi upgrade that keeps on going over here all the time. So you can actually turn off those two features, and still the memory is still eating this thing like crazy, which is ridiculous. The DJI didn't seem to do that problem. Version 7 didn't have that problem as well too. I'm not sure why this one has this issue with. That being said, once again, this thing is still a great camera. I like it. I think it is amazing. I just think that maybe in the next version they will figure out and they work a few bugs over, including put the in screen right here. This is where the screen is supposed to go into, not as a mod all the way at the top that I have been waiting for months to actually come out. So overall, this is a good camera, but it's not perfect yet. Perfection is yet to be awaited. So let me know right down below what you think of this camera, and what other kind of things that they should have done to it, and what other things you didn't like or actually liked about it. And of course, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you sub to this channel. I want to see you on the inside. Hey, where are you? Max, don't get here, Max. Max the pug. Oh. What's going on there, man? Suspicious activity.